edition of Scandals. The brutal death of a beautiful TV starlet, and Brazil is shocked by the killer's identity. As the trial approaches, the soap opera has just begun. The former Soviet Union's dirtiest secret is finally coming to light, and it's a radioactive nightmare that may affect us all. And we'll revisit the most infamous love triangle of all: the cabinet minister, the model, and the Soviet spy.
Hello, I'm Jim Skopelidis. In late December 1992, two news stories developed in Rio de Janeiro. Both became the first president in Brazil's history to face impeachment, accused of funneling millions of dollars into his own pockets. But the second story grabbed most of the headlines with a beautiful woman TV star's passion and murder. The Daniela Perez case pushed everything else off center stage for months.
Rio de Janeiro. Brazil's crown jewel. A city of contradictions, known for its spectacular carnival and world-famous beaches. This city of 12 million people is also one of the most violent in the Southern Hemisphere. The city that people will go to for an escape is a city that needs to escape from its everyday realities. That's why television is such a passion. Successful shows in recent memory, the king of telenovelas. Two of its large cast were 22 and sexy. Daniela Perez as Yasmin, and Guilherme de Padua as her jealous lover, Bira. Yasmin and Bira were hot, the prince and princess of the soaps, and fans wanted to know everything about them, on the set, behind the scenes, where they slept, and whom they slept with. In short, they were typical TV stars. On December 27, 1992, at Tycoon Studios in Rio, the scene was taped where Yasmin ends the stormy, passionate relationship with her lover, Bira.
Acabar por quê, Yasmin?
Bira.
Eu não te entendo. A gente tá numa boa, não tá?
Eu ia falar com você na semana passada.
Crew members recall that Guilherme de Padua had been increasingly distraught on the set. But it seems that he was determined to write his own ending. Several hours later that night, acting on a tip, police found Daniela's lifeless body in the remote Tijuca district, in the bushes a few feet from her car. She had been stabbed over 20 times. Daniela's husband, Raul, was notified. As Raul stood sobbing over his wife's corpse, he was comforted by friends, including Guilherme de Padua. The scandal began. It was front-page news. In one day, it became a national tragedy. A witness reportedly saw a blue Santana leaving the scene of the murder. Police traced the car, and to the shock of everyone involved, Daniela's on-screen lover, Guilherme de Padua, was arrested and confessed. Since he wasn't caught in the act or caught running from the scene, Brazilian law required a number of stories began to appear, including one that de Padua was a homosexual. Another account held that de Padua had recently become moody and obsessed with his co-star, confusing their TV roles with real life.
We were just talking about that today. He had a strong change in attitude. There were moments on the set when he argued and slammed doors.
De Padua's wife, Paula, insisted that she had a part in the murder, which was enough to land both herself and Guilherme back in jail. The police had their confession and stopped the investigation, but the media were tripping over their own feet trying to make sense of dozens of conflicting accounts. The Brazilian national TV network, Globo, went so far as to recreate both the police and Guilherme's version, which placed the murder weapon only in his hands. Guilherme didn't deny killing Daniela, but claimed that it was done in self-defense, that she'd been obsessed with him and had threatened his pregnant wife if she couldn't have him. Another account had Paula suspecting an affair between her husband and Daniela, and had Paula reportedly threatening to kill the actress if it didn't end. Then, just like many real-life soap operas, things got even more confusing. Gloria Perez, Daniela's mother, was a writer on the show who ironically had written the breakup scene between Yasmin and Vera. Not satisfied with the police investigation, she embarked on her own quest for the truth. She combed the streets for 7 months and found several witnesses who were too afraid to talk to police. Gloria also claims to have unearthed and Paula belonged to, which had required the killing of Daniela to prove their love for each other.
These witnesses knew all about Guilherme and Paula's history with the rituals. I have recorded interviews in their own voices in which they declared themselves conformists of Satan.
Paula, who had always claimed direct participation in the killing, suddenly changed her story and denied any involvement, just as her husband had always claimed. Then, only hours later, at a hastily called news conference, Guilherme abruptly changed his story.
Ela me obrigou, entre aspas, a levá-la. Por quê? Porque ela não acreditava
Paula forced me to kill
na minha
Daniela.
fidelidade.
She was always suspicious of my relationship with Daniela, and she never believed the scene of the crime, and she had many reasons to kill her, as I've been telling you.
By this time, public consensus held that Guilherme and Paula were deliberately creating confusion in order to mitigate the case against them. The trial is just beginning, and it promises to strip away the false confusion to reveal the real confusion underneath. In the initial flush of scandal, the ratings for Of Body and Soul rose nearly 10%. But the show paled next to the real-life drama swirling around it, and it was eventually canceled. The public had judged. Time to move on.
By the way, during this time, President Collor de Mello was found guilty of corruption. He was impeached, and a new president